spring day in May of 1607, three small English ships, the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, dropped anchor in a wide, deep river. The 104 men and boys aboard had spent months at sea, crossing the vast Atlantic Ocean under the sponsorship of the Virginia Company of London. Their mission was clear: to establish a permanent English settlement in the Americas, to find valuable resources like gold, silver, and to claim a portion of the New World for King James I. They were driven by the promise of profit, the allure of adventure, and the ambition of an empire eager to compete with Spain. This land, which they would name Virginia, was not empty. It was the ancestral home of the powerful Powhatan Confederacy, a sophisticated network of Algonquian-speaking peoples. Their initial focus was not on building a sustainable community, but on fulfilling the commercial goals of their investors. Many of the first arrivals were gentlemen, unaccustomed to the grueling manual labor clearing land, building shelters, and cultivating crops. They were adventurers, soldiers of fortune, whose hands were more familiar with a sword than a hoe, their minds fixated on the glimmer of gold rather than the steady toil of agriculture. The instructions from the Virginia Company had been specific, outlining a structured plan for exploration and fortification. The settlers quickly erected a triangular fort for protection, with bastions at each corner to mount cannons. Inside the palisade, they built huts, a storehouse, and a church. The early days were a mixture of hopeful activity and growing apprehension. They explored waterways, searching for a passage to the Pacific and mineral wealth. They traded copper and beads with Powhatan peoples for desperately needed food. The land was lush but unfamiliar, concealing dangers. Their site bred disease. The river turned brackish in summer, making their water a slow poison. The initial optimism of the Jamestown settlers quickly dissolved under the oppressive heat of their first Virginia summer. Brackish water and poor sanitation inside the cramped fort led to dysentery and typhoid fever. Illnesses weakened the colonists, leaving them unable to labor. Malaria, spread by swarms of mosquitoes, brought recurring fevers and chills that sapped their strength. Too few surgeons, too few supplies, no immunity to this new environment. Death became a daily occurrence. Starvation compounded disease. Meager supplies quickly dwindled. They arrived too late to harvest, and many gentlemen refused to farm. Time wasted digging for worthless pyrite. Survival hung on Powhatan trade, valuable corn for copper, beads, and tools. Yet, relations were fragile. By early 1608 of 104, only 38 survived. Worm-eaten grain, constant fear of illness, and burials by night to hide their weakness. The dream of profit had become a desperate fight for life. Hunger, disease, and the unfamiliar wilderness overshadowed their New World promise. Survival was no longer an idea, it was a relentless daily ordeal. The years after the landing brought little relief. New ships brought mouths to feed, while disease, shortages, and poor leadership persisted. A hurricane shattered a relief fleet. The Sea Venture wrecked in Bermuda. Survivors arrived with few provisions and fewer leaders. Relations collapsed. Chief Powhatan ordered a siege, cutting off trade, hunting, and foraging. Corn, beans, dried fish, gone. They ate their horses, dogs, and cats. Then rats, mice, and snakes within the fort. Leather boiled into thin gelatin. Accounts and evidence confirm episodes of cannibalism among the starving. By spring 1610, of about 500, only about 60 skeletal survivors remained. Bermuda's leaders reached a shattered settlement. Concluding the colony unsalvageable, survivors embarked to leave. The Jamestown experiment appeared over. On the water, the first English foothold seemed to slip away. Just as the last survivors were abandoning Jamestown, a relief fleet appeared, led by Lord de la Warr, bringing settlers, ample supplies, and a mandate to save the colony. He ordered the colonists to return and imposed rigid order. Lax discipline had failed. Survival required structure, authority, and the common good. John Smith had set the tone in 1608. He saw gentlemen's idleness and gold hunting as existential threats. He decreed, "He that will not work shall not eat." All worked, farming, fishing, and fortifying. His style made enemies, but it steadied the colony. De la Warr, Dale, and Gates enforced the laws divine, morale and martial. Daily life ran with military precision. Idleness, swearing, theft, drew whipping. Desertion or illicit trade could mean death. Unpopular, yet effective. Jamestown became orderly. Treasure hunting gave way to agriculture and defense. For years the company saw little return: no gold, no Northwest Passage, few profitable exports, timber, sassafras, pitch, insufficient to pay the bills. Then came tobacco. The native variety was harsh to English tastes. In 1612, John Rolfe sowed sweeter Caribbean seeds, Nicotiana tabacum. The plant thrived, the leaves were prized. England's craze met Virginia's supply. The impact was immediate. Virginia had a cash crop, a golden weed. Settlers abandoned other crafts for tobacco. In 1618, the headright system granted land for passages paid. Land privatized, a new planter class emerged. Demand for land and labor drove expansion and shaped the colony's future conflicts. From the first landfall, English fate intertwined with the Powhatan Confederacy. 30 allied tribes under their paramount chief, Wahunsenacao. The English brought desirable goods, but a permanent settlement and constant hunger strained resources. Early relations mixed negotiation, trade, and suspicion. Smith traded, and sometimes intimidated, to secure corn. Captured in 1607, Smith later wrote that Pocahontas saved him, perhaps a ritual adoption. She carried messages and food, easing tensions. Hunger drove English raids. Powhatan counterattacks followed. Captured in 1613, baptized, married Rolfe in 1614, ushering the peace of Pocahontas. A fragile truce enabled tobacco growth, but beneath it lay unresolved conflicts over land and resources. The peace proved short-lived as tobacco drove insatiable expansion. English clearings spread, ecosystems and native crops were disrupted. Pocahontas died in 1617, her father soon after. Opechancanough, wary and resolute, planned a strike. On March 22, 1622, Powhatan warriors struck plantations and settlements. Nearly 350 colonists, about a quarter, were killed. Jamestown was warned. Outposts were ravaged. The English vowed vengeance and expansion. Raids burned villages and corn, killing men, women, and children. Over a decade, war broke the Powhatan Confederacy, clearing the way for English dominance. As fields spread, governance evolved. Company autocracy proved insufficient for stability. In 1619, sweeping reforms took root. Governor, council, and 22 burgesses, English America's first representative body, limited powers, but a vital precedent for self-government. That same year, 20-and-odd Africans arrived and were sold for provisions. Their coming marked the beginning of African slavery in English North America. Tobacco's labor hunger fostered a legal system of chattel slavery. After the uprising, the company fell. In 1624, Virginia became a royal colony. Yet private land and representation endured, shaping growth, expansion, and reliance on enslaved labor. Jamestown's story is the brutal origin of a society forged between profit and survival. Resilience, enterprise, conflict, exploitation. Tobacco wealth reshaped Virginia and modeled Southern agriculture. 1619 planted self-government that would grow toward revolution, but prosperity rode with dispossession and slavery.